the best players in the NFL and the best players in life, the best people you work with, the best people in your family, the best people you know, are the people that take accountability for their actions. And a lot of times, these are people that even when you take accountability for your actions, you also understand that you are, even when you win, like, you're not the best ever. Like, you always have to have that humility. Like, there's what's the saying? It goes something like, you're never as bad as people say you are. They're never as good as people say you are. You're never as like it's the idea that you're not as bad as what your worst critic says, and you're not as good as what your number one fan says, right? Like, and you have to realize that. You have to understand that. And finding that middle ground is tricky. And remembering to give yourself grace is tricky. Like, that's the tightrope, because you want to be accountable. You want to sit there and say, well, I dropped the ball here in life, on this project with my team or whatever. I dropped the ball and I picked it up. And then when you win, the best thing you can do is say, yeah, I won, but I couldn't have won without my team, right? And so accountability is so important, and it's going to make your life better if you learn how to take it, right? And I'm going to focus on, I've got 2 videos here that I'm going to play back to back, and we're going to look at the difference in accountability, okay? So right now, like I said, people love to bash the Chiefs. They love to bash Mahomes. They love to watch him fail now because they love to watch him succeed. That's just the way the world works, right? You build him up and then people break him down or whatever. But the one thing that I was super excited about when the Chiefs signed Mahomes was the fact that he seemed like a pretty decent human being. Take all the athletic gifts and all the talent and all the stuff away from it. He seemed like somebody that was not going to be a problem if and when, which he did get the limelight, when the limelight was put on him, because whenever you get massive fame like that, all fame and money really is, in my opinion, is a magnifying glass. So it just takes whoever you are and it just amplifies it, right? So if you are a shit human being and you become famous, eventually the shit's going to hit the fan and everybody's going to know. And if you're a super solid person and you become famous, let's just look at Dolly Parton. The whole world knows. Everybody loves Dolly. Country's never been more divided. There's not a person in this country that can say anything bad about Dolly Parton, right? So when you look at, I look at fame and money as just a magnifying glass. It just highlights who you are. And when I saw Mahomes and he came to the Chiefs, whenever that was, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever, he just seemed like a good human being. He'd been around fame. He'd been around high quality athletes. And I mean, high quality, I don't even know if that's the right word, but he'd been around the best of the best because his dad was a Major League Baseball player. So he was familiar with those. He wasn't swimming in new waters there. But the best thing about Patrick Mahomes, even more than his athletic ability, which is incredible, is the way he takes accountability for his actions and the way he gives accountability when he wins. I've got a video here. This is back from a couple weeks ago. Chiefs lost to the Raiders. If you're not a sports fan, all you need to know is the Raiders aren't good this year. The Chiefs are struggling this year, but they should have beaten the Raiders pretty easily. They didn't. They lost. And I am going to do, let me pull this up really quick. I'm going to do this right here. I'm going to do this right here. Okay, I'm going to play this video from Patrick Mahomes, and this is him handling the press conference after the Chiefs lost to the Raiders. And Mahomes had a couple errors, big errors, that actually contributed to that loss.
Yeah, I think just the mistakes offensively. I thought defense played a good game. Just 2 mistakes that gave them 2 touchdowns there down when you're backed up in their red zone. So you just can't do that, especially when defense is playing like they're playing. So I just got to be better in that sense and not making those mistakes and try to find a way to play the game in the best way to win it.
Patrick, is it hard to find a line in that kind of situation to not press too much? When a mistake happens or back-to-back mistakes happen and try to make up for it, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I think as competitors, you want to make a play happen. But at the same time, you got to know the flow of the game. It's something that I've tried to learn over my career. Those two mistakes at that moment kind of put us in a hole, and we weren't able to climb out of it. And so I'm just trying to find a way to eliminate those. But obviously, it got us today.
The interception in particular, what did
Yeah, he made a good play, man. He was off coverage, read it probably by the alignment or something like that, and just made a good play. I just can't make that throw. I try to be on time with it, but he obviously made a great play on there and got the pick six.
Patrick, what about the fumble?
Okay, so what you heard there was a lot of, I can't make those mistakes. You know, the defense played great. Patrick's an offensive player, in case you don't know. The defense did play great in that game for the Chiefs. But what you hear there is it's just an amazing example of somebody taking ownership for the mistakes they made. And I cannot tell you how important that is to have somebody, and again, this doesn't matter if you're talking about a football team, a baseball, it doesn't have to be a sports reference. If you've got people that you work with on a daily basis and they're willing to take accountability when things go wrong, when they screw up. Now, I know there are people that are like football fans, but like, he was just crying about the refs 3 games ago. True, he had reason to cry about the refs. I understand. I don't want to get into the middle of that. Mahomes has not made a career of passing the blame onto other people. Okay. 99 times out of 100, the only time in his career that he's ever mentioned the refs was 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I'm bringing this up because if the Chiefs lose a game, and what's crazy is the clip I just played you was a clip where Mahomes really, his errors cost them the game against the Raiders. So he did take the blame for that. What you're not seeing, and what I don't have clips of, are the times when people on his team let everybody down and he still took the blame for it. So even when, and again, it's not that it's easier for him to take accountability for, he fumbled a ball that was on the 5-yard line. He threw an interception that was a pick six. So it's not that it's easy, but those were his mistakes, right? He's a professional. He knows it. He's not living in La La Land or whatever. He's aware of the fact that those are his mistakes and he owned them. But even when people on his team make huge mistakes, he never blames them. He never says, my linemen weren't blocking very well, that I was running the whole game. He never comes out with those excuses, ever. And I believe just by watching him succeed and watching the way the people around him act, I believe that's genuinely how he carries himself. And those are the people, and it didn't matter if this goes all the way back to when I was in college and I was cutting grass at a golf course, right? I worked on a maintenance crew at a golf course. It doesn't matter what profession you're in. It doesn't matter if you're making $10 an hour or $15 an hour, or if you're making $500,000 a year. These attributes, they transcend everything else. So whatever field you're in, those are the people you want on your team. And those are the people that you want to be. You want to be that person, because whether people know it or not, they might not even think about it. It might be subconscious. But if you're willing to take accountability for your actions and say, hey, you know what? I can do better here. Even if the error wasn't your fault, if the loss wasn't because of something you did, you find a way to take accountability and say, okay, I can do better next time. I'm going to do better next time. Those are the people you want on your team 100% of the time.